All right, let's get into it. You know that moment, right? You're speaking another language, a friend has a problem, and you just want to give them a simple, helpful idea. But how do you do that without sounding awkward or pushy? Well, in this explainer, we are going to crack the code on one of the most useful phrases in Japanese for that exact situation.
Think about how often you say something like, "Hey, why don't you try this?" It's such a core part of any conversation. So how do we get that idea across in Japanese? That is exactly what we are going to nail down today, looking at the most common and natural way to do it.
So let's jump right to the core of it. The key phrase we're focusing on is made specifically for one thing: giving friendly, constructive advice. It's your absolute go-to for making a helpful recommendation.
And here it is, "たらどうですか?" pronounced "たらどうですか?" This is your gentle way of suggesting something. Honestly, just think of it as the Japanese version of "why don't you?" or "how about?" It's a soft, polite suggestion, and it is definitely not a command.
Now you might be thinking this is going to be complicated, but here's the best part. It's surprisingly simple to build. You don't need to learn a bunch of new grammar rules. If you already know one basic verb form, trust me, you're pretty much there.
Let's break down the recipe. It's a super straightforward, three-step process. First, you just grab any verb in its plain, dictionary form. Second, you switch that verb into its short past tense, what's often called the ta form. And finally, you just attach "la do desu ka" right on the end. And that's it, you're done.
Let's look at a perfect example. Take the verb to eat, which is taberu or taberu. In its short past tense, it becomes tabeta, tabeta. From there, you just add our phrase to get "tabetara dou desu ka?" Why don't you eat? See? Simple and clean.
Okay, so the theory is simple enough. But how does this actually work in a real, live conversation? Let's dive into a few practical examples to really see how it brings your advice to life.
So imagine your friend looks completely wiped out. A really natural and empathetic thing to say would be, "Skoshi yasundara dou desu ka?" It just means, why don't you rest a little? It comes across as helpful and caring, not demanding at all.
Or how about this situation? Someone tells you they're finding Japanese really difficult. A great piece of encouraging advice would be, "Mainichi denshu shitara dou desu ka?" Why don't you practice every day? It's a suggestion that aims right at the heart of the problem.
And it's not just for personal feelings. It works for practical problems too. Your friend complains, "This smartphone is so slow." A perfectly logical and helpful bit of advice is, "Atarashi no kattara dou desu ka?" Why don't you buy a new one? It's just a clear, straightforward suggestion.
Okay, so before you go out and start using this everywhere, we need to talk about some crucial little details, the fine print, if you will. Nailing these nuances is what's going to make you sound less like a textbook and more like a natural speaker.
One of the best things about this phrase is its flexibility. While "shintara dou desu ka" is your standard polite form, you can totally shorten it when you're talking with friends. You can say "shintara do" or even just "shintara." For example, just saying "tabetara" is a much more relaxed way to ask, "Why not eat?"
So let's recap the big rules here. Definitely do use this forgiving, friendly advice. And yes, do shorten it in casual situations to sound more natural. But, and this is the most important one, do not use this phrase to invite someone to do something with you. It is a super common mistake, and we want to avoid it. So, what do you use for invitations? If you want to say something like, "Won't you come with us?" or "Shall we eat together?" you need a different tool from your toolbox. The correct phrase is "sha masen ka" or "sha masen ka." Using "sha tara dou desu ka" here can sound a bit like you're bossing them around, which is not the friendly vibe you want for an invitation.
And there you have it, a powerful, flexible, and honestly indispensable tool for your Japanese conversations. It's simple to form and incredibly useful. So the only real question left is, what helpful suggestion are you going to make first?